Going back to last year, we talked about like beggar thy neighbor policy. Don't you think it's quite hypocritical that we're printing money at a tremendous rate, and we're devaluing our currency? For example, the yen's trading at 80 per dollar, and that's really killing the Japanese economy and manufacturing sector. So how can we justify it? How could Geithner and Bernanke justify this in G20 summit when they have to meet up with all these ministers around the world?
Because they're selfish. Their best interest is the U.S. So they'll do whatever possible for the U.S. to win. It's exactly what other people have done also. You don't want to do it in a way that, that severely hurts other countries, because the U.S. also benefits from trades. So their job is to act in the best interest of the U.S. I think really that is their mandate, so it's not surprising to me that that's what's actually going on. As I said, you have to walk a fine line here, because if you pick on a country, then that could have negative consequences. I don't think that their policies per se are the result in the yen being valued where it is. The reason for what's happening in Japan is a string of bad kind of macroeconomic policy making that has occurred over the last 20 years in Japan. You want to point the finger, don't point it at the chairman of the Federal Reserve or the president of the United States. You point it at the Japanese policymakers. They just blundered after blunder. I always like to think of the Nikkei average, which was 42,000 in 1990, and now it's below 10,000. So it's just a massive negative effect in terms of wealth in Japan. So, and I always point to Japan as a place that we can learn from in terms of the policies in the US, that we don't want to make the mistakes that Japan has made. Now, let me also just comment on the money creation, the money printing. Yes, there is quantitative easing going on. Remember that with this equation that you learned in macroeconomics, MV equals PQ, that a lot of things change. Like Q is the output, so that can go up and down. P is the price level, and usually we think of increase M, the money supply, then holding everything else fixed, inflation is going to go up. But you forget about the V, which is the velocity of money. And the velocity of money is taking a huge hit. There's a lot less velocity for various reasons in terms of, banks being in trouble, bank lending standards have changed. We've taken a huge amount of kind of money out of the economy also in terms of all of the structured products and all of the, securities that were trading before the crisis that really aren't trading today. So the so-called shadow banking has been greatly diminished. So I think that you need to consider that at least. Are we doing something that's excessive? No, not at all. So will other countries get into an ugly contest? Yes. And as I said earlier, when you've got growth that's so low that your unemployment rate's stuck around 10%, you're going to do this stuff and take the flak for it. Again, they need to act in the best interest of the United States.